All right, we are live. Cigar and a Beverage is back on the air as I got the smoke going right in my face to start today's program. Let's move that. Holy cow. Welcome to the Ash Wednesday edition of Cigar and a Beverage. You know who I am, and I know who you are. Let's start right now and let everybody know that despite the weather outside in parts of Texas and my friends in Mississippi and Tennessee and all points in between, the weather is a bitch, to say the least. Weather causing so much havoc here in the South, from Texas to Arkansas, Oklahoma, Tennessee. North Mississippi is in a blizzard. Look, I spent 5 years in Oxford. I spent 5 years at Ole Miss, and never have I experienced the blizzard that is going on in Oxford, Mississippi over the last couple of days. The snow is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but when you have constant snowfall, it becomes aggravating and frustrating. Former Ole Miss quarterback Romero Miller, who lives in Olive Branch, which is, if you're not familiar with where Olive Branch is, it's between Memphis and Oxford. And really, Olive Branch is almost like a suburb of Memphis to an extent. And they've got, and as of 3 hours ago, they've had 7.5 inches of snowfall, and it's still falling. It is still falling in North Mississippi. And that has caused the Southeastern Conference to have to postpone some basketball games across the South. Most notably, the game between Ole Miss and LSU was scheduled for tonight, but then they pushed it to tomorrow afternoon. And then earlier today, they finally said no. And we'll just postpone it to another time. Alabama and Texas A&M, I believe, is another one of those games. And these are games in college basketball, especially for the Southeastern Conference, that have NCAA tournament ramifications. LSU's probably going to get in. Alabama's definitely going to get in. I think Alabama's the best team in the Southeastern Conference right now. Texas A&M looking to try to get an important win, although they may not get in. I don't think they're even on the bubble. The Auburn game, I think, is another one of those games that was postponed, and Auburn's trying to get themselves into the tournament. So a lot of NCAA tournament ramifications in those games where the Southeastern Conference has postponed them. No makeup date has been announced, but rest assured, I think they're going to try to find a way to get these games played because of the tournament ramifications. As of right now, and according to Joe Lenardi, the ESPN bracketology expert, 6 teams could get into the NCAA tournament from the Southeastern Conference. One of them may not be Kentucky. And speaking of Kentucky, they're playing Vanderbilt, or they have played Vanderbilt this evening in Nashville. Unbelievable the way they've been able to get that game played. The ice and snow causing issues in Nashville. I have a couple friends that went up to Nashville for the weekend, and they've been stuck. They have been stuck in Nashville, and they haven't been able to get out. And that's as of yesterday. Right now, 19 seconds to go in Nashville. Kentucky is up 3. And that's Yeah, 19.1 seconds to go and Kentucky is up 78-75 in Nashville. Howie Inman asks, are the Pelicans going to take the Blazers down tonight? Well, we'll see. I'm going head-to-head with the Pelicans broadcast right now. We'll see. We'll see, Howie. The Pelicans have struggled on the road. They've had their struggles on the road. Got the big win in Memphis last night, which I'm surprised that New Orleans was able to get into Memphis and then get out of Memphis with the weather issues that they're having there. I think the snow is still falling in Memphis. There's a possibility. Got to watch it. Got to play defense, though. Pelicans' defense has been absolutely atrocious this season. They are the worst, in my opinion, the Pelicans right now are the worst three-point shooting defense in the history of the NBA. I mean, they have to be, right? I mean, during their 3-game losing streak on the road, they've given up 67 three-pointers. Do the math there. That's what, 22 threes? 22 threes a game that they gave up during that 3-game losing streak? My goodness. I don't know I don't know how that's even possible. I mean, really, how is that even possible? I don't get it. 9 seconds to go in Nashville. Kentucky is up 80-75, and if there's any team that has struggled this year, that has been a surprise struggling team in college basketball, it would have to be Kentucky. They will I got a phone call there, but that's going to have to wait. They will improve to 7-13 on the year. But I don't think anybody really thought that they would be this bad. Now, COVID and opt-outs might have something to do with that. And speaking of opt-outs, I'm under the opinion of this. If you are a college player and you decide to opt out, you should have your scholarship rescinded. I know that sounds harsh, but you're letting the team down. And the protocols that are in place right now are much better than what they were at the beginning of this whole thing. I mean, really. I think you ought to have your scholarship rescinded. Because that's a scholarship spot for a kid that is probably a walk-on on the team. And you're not able to use it now. As a coach, you're not able to use it now because it's for a player that decided to opt out. And if the player decides to opt out, I think you should take his scholarship away and give it to somebody that decided not to opt out. I mean, really. I mean, tell me how that's fair. Tell me how that is fair. We are live on the air. It's the Ash Wednesday edition of Cigar and a Beverage. 3 seconds to go in Nashville. Kentucky leads 80-77. Other sports news going on right now. Let's go here. We got some baseball news, and I don't normally talk baseball a whole lot, but this has to be talked about because Fernando Tatis Jr. and the San Diego Padres have come to an agreement on a contract extension. It's going to now. The details of this contract extension are pretty nuts. It's the third largest contract ever handed out in Major League Baseball history. It's a 14-year, $340. That's $340 million. It's the third largest contract ever handed out in Major League Baseball history, just behind Mookie Betts' $365 million contract, and the contract that the Angels dished out to Mike Trout for $426.5 million. Now, I understand that there's no salary cap in Major League Baseball, but this is borderline ridiculous, the amount of money that is being dished out amongst teams in Major League Baseball. I mean, why? Part of... Well, I'm popular tonight. Maybe I should put them on the air. I mean, really. I could probably put these guys on the air. Oh, my goodness. That's 2 missed calls tonight, and I'm trying to get my cigar relit. See, that's what happens when you start talking too much. You don't pay attention to the status of your cigar. Fernando Tatis's contract will expire in 2035. And during that time, Manny Machado would be 42. Mike Trout would be 43. Albert Pujols will be 55. LeBron will be 50. Tiger Woods will be 60. Tom Brady would be 57. And Tatis would only be 36. That would be an average of $24 million a year. Again, that is a boatload of money. A boatload of money. Great deal for both. Now, Foolish Baseball tweets out, great deal for both sides. Simple as that. Tatis secures the big payday that every player dreams of. And the Padres locked down a generational talent for just over $24 million a year. I wonder if the Nationals have any chance of doing the same with Soto, who could break every contract record. And that's possible. You know, Soto is another one of those generational type players that you don't want to let go. And any team that would let go of generational players like that can be an important piece of the puzzle for your franchise, no matter what sport it is, you got to be crazy to not do that. I mean, really. In each of the last 3 years, the Padres have shelled out $784 million on 3 players: Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, and Fernando Tatis Jr. Oh, my goodness. And in other baseball news, Tim Tebow has announced his retirement from professional baseball. He took to Twitter and issued a statement saying, quote, "I want to thank the Mets, Mr. Alderson, the fans, and all my teammates for the chance to be a part of such a great organization. I loved every minute of the journey, but at this time, I feel called in other directions. I never want to be partially in on anything. I always want to be 100% in on whatever I choose. Thank you again for everyone's support of this awesome journey in baseball. And I will always cherish my time as a Met. Hashtag LGM, which stands for Let's Go Mets. So Tim Tebow, his NFL career, he'll be best known for throwing the touchdown pass in the playoff game against Pittsburgh that won that playoff game in overtime several years ago. He was nothing more than a spring training player for the Mets. And I don't think he ever made it on a major on the main roster, on the major league roster for the Mets. Tim Tebow is now going to probably be focused on his non-for-profit organizations, as well as being an analyst for the SEC football pregame show on the SEC network every Saturday during college football season, which he's actually a decent analyst in my view. Decent analyst in my view. So, again, we'll see where this goes for Tim Tebow. A guy from Jersey. Jersey Guy at Jersey Guy 245 tweets out, Your career was railroaded by John Elway. Would have loved to see what you could have done if they actually let you ball out. That's another thing. I mean, that's a question you got to ask yourself. Did Tim Tebow get the raw end of the deal in Denver? It's a question you got to ask yourself. It may not have worked out for Tim Tebow in Denver. I think he tried to spend time with the Jets, but that didn't. Good night. No wonder he stopped playing in the NFL. He ended up with the Jets, probably one of the worst run organizations right now in the National Football League. I mean, who wants to go play for the Jets right now? Everybody's looking. Look, if you're trying to purposely get yourself out of New York, I mean, that's that just goes to show you how bad that organization is. I don't care if I was a practice squad player riding the bench without ever touching the field in the National Football League. The franchise that I would not want to do that with is the New York Jets. Simple as that. You could pay me all the money in the world to ride the bench in the National Football League, and I would not want to do it with the New York Jets. Sorry. Let's go back and check in and see if that Kentucky game went final. And it did. 82-78, Kentucky, the winner over the Commodores. Mintz with 18, Jackson with 15, Toppin 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. The Wildcats, the Kentucky is now 7-13 overall, 6-7 in Southeastern Conference play. Kentucky went 24-25 from the line tonight. Wait a minute, hold on. Does that stat really deceive me? A John Calipari coached basketball team hit 96% from the line tonight? My goodness. I understand the South is freezing over, but geez. A Calipari coached basketball team went 96% from the line. Wow. Good for them. As stated earlier, the Portland Trailblazers are in New Orleans tonight to take on the Pelicans. And right now, 7:53 to go, first quarter. Trailblazers are up 10-9. We're gonna Steven Adams versus Enes Kanter tonight. Well, that should be a good matchup down low. Blazers are going, their starting lineup goes with Lillard, Trent, Jones, Covington, and Kanter. It is 10-9, 7.5 to go, first quarter. That game just underway at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. Other scores, other college basketball here. Maryland getting a win over Nebraska, 79-71. Fourth quarter. Well, that game just ended. Orlando, a winner over the Knicks, 107-89. Ross had 30, Vucevic had 16, Fournier 19, Julius Randle 25. Orlando went 16 for 34 from three-point land, and the Magic outscored the Knicks 29-10 in points off of turnovers. North Carolina, a winner over Northeastern tonight, 82-62. End of the third, they are in the third quarter in Philadelphia. The 76ers lead the Rockets 93-75. Atlanta leading Boston in the fourth quarter 90-84. Let's see. College basketball, USC and Arizona State playing right now. Halfway through the second half, 64-58 Trojans over the Sun Devils. Detroit is up big on Chicago in the third, 61-45. Zach LaVine has 13 as of right now for the Bulls. Trending right now on Twitter, Zach Wilson. There are multiple NFL teams that have Zach Wilson above Trevor Lawrence. And Zach Wilson is getting the comparisons of Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I want to know what team that is. I want to know what team that is right now. Somebody tell me. Let's see what else is going on in the world of sports here on a Wednesday night. Pittsburgh Steelers may not bring Ben Roethlisberger back. Steelers general manager Kevin Colbert hinted at a possible split with Ben Roethlisberger after meeting with the high-priced quarterback following the Super Bowl. Roethlisberger's payout will cost the team $41.25 million against the salary cap in 2021, representing the highest charge of any player in the league. The veteran signal caller recently said he's willing to restructure his contract and doesn't care about his salary at this stage of his career. The 38-year-old has suffered from diminishing skills last season, leading to questions about whether the Steelers could still win a Super Bowl with him at quarterback. Roethlisberger imploded in the playoffs with 4 interceptions and an opening round loss to Cleveland. Roethlisberger is due a $15 million signing bonus on March 19th. If Pittsburgh releases him before then, the franchise can save $19 million against the salary cap. The Steelers will enter the offseason about $30.5 million over the current cap. Now, here's the question. Do the Steelers try to draft a quarterback or make a move in free agency? If they decide to part ways with Roethlisberger. A lot of teams in the National Football League, by my count, we're roughly at almost a third of the league are going to be looking for new quarterbacks. And that's going to be interesting to watch. Here in the future. I mean, we saw the trade go down between Detroit and Los Angeles when they switched quarterbacks with Goff and Stafford. But I think once we understand, and I think once the league knows what's going to happen with Drew Brees, I think then you're going to see a lot of things start to fall in place. Because then that way the Saints will understand what they need to do with their quarterback situation, whether it's re-signing Jameis Winston to a long-term deal, whether it's re-signing Taysom Hill to a new contract, whether it's parting ways with Taysom Hill, whether it's trading Taysom Hill, whether it's drafting a quarterback. It's a lot of things that need to be addressed as far as the Saints contract situation is concerned. But depending on what happens with the Saints contract or the Saints quarterback situation, then we can understand what the rest of the league is going to do. One thing is for certain, Tom Brady still has 1 year left on his deal, his current contract with Tampa Bay. They got no ambition to retire at this point. They're going to be going for back-to-back next year. And if they can keep most of that team in place, then they'll be in good position to do just that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Some sad news to report from yesterday. Vincent Jackson, former wide receiver. He spent time with San Diego, with the Chargers and with the Bucks. Played for close to 13 to 14 seasons from 2005 to 2016. Was found dead Monday at a Homewood Suites Hotel in Brandon, Florida, just outside of Tampa. He had been checked into that hotel room since January the 11th. His family reported him missing on February the 10th, but the case was canceled 2 days later when deputies located him, spoke to him, and assessed his well-being. It is believed, according to Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister, that Vincent Jackson's family believes that the former NFL wide receiver suffered from CTE. He did have concussion issues while he played in the league. And when you suffer from that, obviously, you're not yourself. And then that can lead to a lot of problems. It can obviously lead to a lot of problems during retirement and after your career is pretty much over. A number of late NFL stars, including Ken Stabler, Junior Seau, and Chris Henry, have been diagnosed with CTE post-mortem. The disease is the result of repeated brain trauma, and CTE has no cure. Now, an autopsy showed that Jackson also suffered from alcoholism, but authorities are still trying to determine a cause of death. Jackson posted 6 1,000-yard seasons and made the Pro Bowl 3 times over his 12-year career. So, again, Vincent Jackson is another victim of CTE, or so it seems. Let's see. Other top stories around sports. So COVID-19 is still wreaking havoc around the world, and it is putting a strain on a team in Major League Baseball, and that team being the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are going to open the 2021 season in their spring training home in Florida. Multiple sources have told Ben Nicholson-Smith and Shai Davidi of Sportsnet in Canada. TD Ballpark in Dunedin, Florida, will host the Jays home games through at least May the 2nd, according to an internal memo. This is a ongoing story, so there's going to be more to come to that as far as more details are concerned. But the Blue Jays will not be playing the start of the season in Toronto. How does that make? I wonder how that makes those fans feel right now. I wonder if they're pissed. I probably would be. Central Florida has hired Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, if you all remember, and I had an extensive conversation with this about Gus with a colleague of mine when Gus was fired from Auburn. Gus was fired from Auburn and received a $21 million buyout, which is ungodly. And during a pandemic, to pay when universities are trying to save money, you're going to go ahead and just part ways with your head football coach, and you part ways with your head football coach and then pay him an ungodly amount of money to leave. So you part ways with him, and then not long after you part ways with him, about a month and a half, he lands a new job as the new head coach of the UCF Knights. That was announced on Monday. Malzahn recorded a 68-35 overall record with Auburn over 8 seasons, was named AP Coach of the Year in 2013 after leading Auburn to the national championship game appearance in 2013 and going 12-2 that year. Auburn fired Malzahn after finishing third in the SEC West with a 6-4 record. Malzahn joins athletic director Terry Mohajir as the new leaders of the Knights following the departures of head coach Josh Heupel and athletic director Danny White to Tennessee. Malzahn and Mohajir worked together at Arkansas State. Malzahn will be tasked with returning UCF to its former domination. The Knights racked up a school board record 25-game winning streak during the 2017-2018 seasons, but they lost 7 contests over the past 2 years. So Gus Malzahn back in the coaching ranks at UCF. Florida and Notre Dame have scheduled a home-and-home series in 2031 and 32. Most of the kids that will be playing in that game aren't even in high school yet and are barely in elementary school. When those games are played, the kids right now that are going to be in that game are anywhere between 7 and 10 years old. Think about that one. Look, I'm all for universities scheduling ahead of time like they are, but is it really necessary to schedule that far in advance? My goodness. I mean, that's 10 and 11 years down the line. So there it is. I want to keep doing this. This is fun. I like doing what I'm doing here with Cigar and a Beverage. I'd like to try to get more people to watch and comment and come on live. I understand life is what it is. But if I can, and everybody's still struggling with the pandemic, everybody's still staying home, everybody's still having issues, but if I could shine a little bit of light on the whole situation by talking sports, that's what I do. That's what I feel like doing, and that's what I want to do. So Cigar and a Beverage, we'll try to expand a little bit. We'll go to Twitter, working on trying to get that up and running, and may change platforms from Facebook Live to another platform. But once I decide and once we pull the trigger on that, we'll obviously let everybody know when that's going to take place. So with that being said, here's another look at the scoreboard here before we call it a night. Pelicans trail Portland 35-28, 124 to go in the first. Philadelphia leading Houston 100-84, 8:50 to go in the fourth. Atlanta leading the Boston Celtics 102-93, 6:12 to go in the fourth. Detroit leading Chicago 67-63, 3:19 to go in the third. It's Washington leading Denver 81-77, 5:54 to go in the third. 7:33 to go in the third quarter. Minnesota leading Indiana 84-77. And let's see, we have Memphis hosting Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City leading 31-30. The first quarter is about to end there. Dallas and Detroit postponed because of the weather situation in Dallas. If there's any area of the country that has suffered the most through this whole winter storm that has come through, it's the state of Texas. It's the cities of Houston and Dallas. My gosh, they have really been hampered with this whole thing. Wish that things can get better in those areas, so those areas could get back to normal. It may not be to the weekend when that happens. So that's that. So, Steven Adams has rolled his ankle. So he's gone right to the locker room. So we'll see what happens there. For someone who has an extremely high pain tolerance, he hobbled and walked to the back pretty quickly. That's according to Andrew Lopez of ESPN, who is the ESPN Pelicans beat writer. Would like to have him on at some point. Kind of give me a little bit more name recognition. So we'll see where it goes from here. Rain's still coming down here in southeast Louisiana, but it looks like it's going to be out of here in just a little bit. So we'll go. Hopefully everything doesn't ice over in southeast Louisiana. Temperatures are supposed to be back down in the 30s. We'll see what happens down here. We got places to be tomorrow, like work. So there's that. I'd like to thank everybody who decided to watch for just a little bit. Thank you for joining me. Howie, the only one with comments tonight. That's okay. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. We will be back on the air here soon, probably later this week, maybe sometime this weekend. And until then, grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and join me. We'll have another edition of Cigar and a Beverage later on this week. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good one.